Namaste. I would like to ask the question that I had asked some days back in the group. So my question is also related to the Digvijay Yatra. So during Bhima's route in the Digvijay Yatra, he meets Shishupala, that is the ruler of the Chedi kingdom, and he offered his kingdom with a smile that to Bhima. So that is to come under the Indraprastha's rule. So my question is, why would Shishupala easily offer his kingdom to the Pandavas or to Bhima, who was a close ally to Sri Krishna? So that is my question.
So the general answer is, anyone will have to build upon it. It is a very common observation that I am going to present. I want to present. As all of you know, Shishupala was also a cousin of. Everybody know that Shishupala was a cousin of Krishna. And the story is that in Mahabharata and in Srimad Bhagavata and all Puranic references, it can be seen. Shishupala, when he was born, he had three eyes and 4 hands. And it was predicted that when he is taken by anyone in his lap, these extra eye and extra 2 hands will disappear, and that person will kill Shishupala. This is the story prevailing in Puranic literature. I don't know whether it is in Mahabharata also, that Rupesh has to clarify. It is anyway in all Bhagavata discussions, etc. We are very familiar with the story. And Shishupala's mother, Chedi Ratni, tried with all her relatives, and in nobody's lap the extra limbs did disappear. When he was put in Krishna's lap, who was actually Shishupala's cousin, these 3 disappeared, 2 hands and the 3rd eye disappeared. And this Chedi Rajni became very depressed that her beloved Krishna, who is son of her own brother, will kill my son. So he gets a pledge from Krishna, or a word from Krishna, that you will forgive him. But Krishna says that I will forgive 100 mistakes by Shishupala, then after I will kill him. And the story goes. And this rivalry was there between Krishna and Shishupala from very childhood itself. And in between, Shishupala was offered Rukmini's hand by Rukmini's brother Rukmi. But Rukmini was in deep love with Krishna, and Rukmini requests Krishna to take her away from the Swayamvara or the marriage pandal or marriage platform. And Krishna in a way abducted her from the marriage procession, and they got married. And this made Shishupala more inimical towards, or more hostile towards Sri Krishna, and their hostility increased day by day. But as all of you know, Pandava's mother Kunti was also a sister of Vasudeva, Krishna's father. So in this way, Shishupala and Pandavas are connected. They are also cousins. So Shishupala can easily accept the supremacy of Yudhishthira, who was his elder brother. So that can be the cause. The rivalry between Krishna and Shishupala need not be dragged into this episode. The direct relationship between Shishupala and Yudhishthira can be put forward as a justification for Shishupala offering his loyalty towards or his subjugation towards Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira was recognized by everyone of that time. Even the Kuru Vamsa, Kuru clan, maybe accepting Duryodhana, everybody accepted Yudhishthira was a great king. He was worthy of becoming the Chakravarti emperor. So Shishupala also was in that fold, who accepted the supremacy of Yudhishthira. And Krishna had his relation with Yudhishthira because of another reason also, not just because they were cousins. Vishwa and his brothers were his admirers. It was not the only reason that Krishna was very much fond of Yudhishthira. Krishna was fond of Yudhishthira because of his steadfastness in Dharma. Krishna had in a respect, in a way, a reverence towards Yudhishthira because of his great qualities of a king. So Yudhishthira was an undisputed king of righteousness in those times. So it was not surprising that Shishupala willfully accepted his supremacy and offered his what do you say, and submitted himself towards to Yudhishthira. I think this can be the reason. He need, even in the Rajasuya Yajna, Shishupala participated, and he was very much he was very much admiring Yudhishthira, but he was against worshipping Krishna as the most important person, the most important person in that audience. There, Shishupala's rivalry between Krishna manifested, and all the things became very unpleasant, and it became like a what do you say, a bad omen in the beginning itself. Krishna being scolded or abused by Shishupala, and in the end, after the 100 mistakes were forgiven, Krishna takes the Sudarshana and chops off his head, and this happened in the beginning itself of Rajasuya. That was when Krishna was selected by Yudhishthira for the Agrapuja, and that also with after consultation with Bhishma and Sahadeva. So that Shishupala couldn't accept because of his rivalry or hatred towards Krishna, and this need not be mingled, or this need not be dragged into the relationship between Shishupala and Yudhishthira. This is my very humble observation, and I think those who have gone into the details of the storyline of Mahabharata subtly, very meticulously, can answer with a little more light on this. So, Rupesh, if you can, please come forward and share your views.
Now, getting back to the question of Shishupala, I completely agree with what Achyutamrita was telling. His rivalry was against Lord Krishna alone. So, means while we'll read the part from the Digvijaya Yatra, it gives just only one small paragraph about the interaction between Bhima and Shishupala. Sorry, not Shishupala. Bhima and we are discussing about. I just got disconnected.
Shishupala only.
Shishupala. Okay. So in that one paragraph, we see that as soon as he realizes that the Pandava is coming to his kingdom, he comes and welcomes him. That's how it starts. So there is no seeming rivalry which is being portrayed by sage Vyasa. So he comes and welcomes Shishupala and directly asks him, what do you want? And Pandava explains to him what his mission is and something, and he smilingly offers the kingdom to him. And it is also mentioned, it's also worth mentioning here that the Bhima stays at Shishupala for the next 30 days as a guest. As an Adhiti, as a guest, he stays there 30 days. So definitely, that's all the mention between till before Shishupala goes into the Rajasuya Yajna. So it is very obvious that he doesn't have any rivalry to either to Bhima or to Yudhishthira. He accepts completely, wholeheartedly the suzerainty of Yudhishthira. And even when you see, he does not hesitate to go to Rajasuya. His only problem was the Agra Puja not to be done to Krishna. He says like there are more deserving people than Krishna. Why don't you do it to Bhishma or Drona or Kripa, or even there are very strong warriors like Ekalavya are all present in the kingdom. So Krishna doesn't deserve the Agra Puja. That's the problem which Shishupala has. And as Sami mentioned from the Puranas, that episode is also there in Mahabharata, where Bhishma recounts the tale where while Shishupala was born, he was not like a normal human being. He has extra limbs and eyes and all, which all vanished when the slayer of when who is going to slay him will take Shishupala on his hands. These things will automatically vanish, and it is surprisingly to be Lord Krishna. And Shishupala's mother requests or pleads to Krishna, and Krishna gives the boon. All these things are there in Mahabharata also, but as recounted by Bhishma during the details of Shishupala Vada, during the episode of Shishupala Vada. So I think we can fairly conclude that Shishupala did not have any grudge towards Yudhishthira, or did accept the sovereignty of Yudhishthira, but he had only problems with Krishna. Thank you.
Namaskar. So this is a question for Achyutamrita ji. So when we look at the episode of the Gita, we see someone highly qualified in the sense someone who has learned the Vedas, and a highly qualified person like Arjuna listened to the wisdom of Sri Krishna. But after the Gita, Arjuna kind of goes back to his old mode in some ways. I mean, he becomes sad again for some things, and he also seems to forget that Krishna is God himself. So what does that say? I mean, what is Mahabharata telling us when someone as qualified as Arjuna, can go down even after listening to all this wisdom? Do you have any comments, Achyutamrita ji?
Again, this is a very, very elaborate. This gives an option to a very elaborate discussion. How much time is there? Maybe it is all 20 minutes are there. Anyway, it's a very good question which has to be understood by us all. There are two or three main points to be discussed in this context. First of all, I am reminded about the other episode, which is Anugida in Mahabharata itself, where after the war, after Yudhishthira becomes the... I am audible, no?
Yes, Swami, you're audible.
Yes, ji.
Yes, Swami. Yes, Swami.
After the Mahabharata war, Yudhishthira becomes the emperor, and after a long time, after he is coronated as the emperor, there is an episode in which Arjuna asks Krishna to impart him the knowledge of Gita again. And Arjuna says that I have forgotten almost all the points that you have delivered to me. And can you again explain what you told on that battlefield? Then Krishna shouts at Arjuna or scolds Arjuna and laments that I have given all this knowledge to such a person who is not able to retain them. In that way, he is taking pity on Arjuna. And he says there, clearly says in this Anugida, that in that Gita episode of Mahabharata war, Bhagavad Gita, I was in such an exalted state that these are all worth studying. Even when we accept Krishna as the Lord himself, a person who has come onto the earth, even though he is the incarnation, there are many bhavas in them. So here Krishna says that at that moment when you asked about the dharma dilemma at the beginning of Mahabharata war, I was in such an exalted state, that is yogadudha siddhi. I was in full union with the universal form of mind, or the omniscient form, omnipresent form, omnipotent form, that he himself rose into the bhava of Bhagavan. And from that higher source to which I was tuned, or I manifested myself, that form, that mood in me, I invoked that mood in me and imparted all this knowledge. Now I am not in that mood, in that bhava, so I cannot give you the knowledge as I gave you that at the Mahabharata war beginning. In that mood I cannot go now, and I cannot impart that knowledge now. This is what Krishna says. So these are all very important things. The bhava of the person who instructs is very important. This is an experience of all of the teachers. When the students ask very good questions and the student is in a very eager mood to know, he is very much jnasa in the student. The teacher will become will be transferred into another mood, and many very subtle and deep knowledge will come from the teacher. But the teacher cannot always give that much knowledge to the students. It inspires him. It is called inspiration in our ordinary terminology. This inspiration is necessary in a teacher so that he can impart more and more more and more deep and subtle knowledge to the student. So in Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was in such a mood that he was so much thirsty of knowledge. He was very much eager to know about the secrets of Dharma. And that eagerness in Arjuna, invoked in Krishna the form of Jagat Guru, or the Lord himself. The Bhagavad Bhava was invoked in Krishna. And in Mahabharata, you will see everywhere Sri Krishna, when Sri Krishna speaks something, it is said that Sri Vasudeva Uvacha or Vasudeva Uvacha. In the whole Mahabharata, it is, when Krishna speaks, it is said Vasudeva Uvacha, like Arjuna Uvacha, Yudhishthira Uvacha, Vaishambhayana Uvacha, Vyasa Uvacha. In the same way, Sanjay Uvacha, in the same way, Vasudeva Uvacha is there in Mahabharata. But when Bhagavad Gita starts in the Bhishma Parva, I think it is the 25th or maybe the 25th chapter up to 43 of Bhishma Parva. This may not be exact, but in that 18 chapters, not in the 18th chapter, 17 chapters. In the first chapter, there is no any Uvacha with Krishna. There is no Sri Krishna Uvacha, Vasudeva Uvacha or Bhagavan Uvacha. But from the second chapter onwards, this starts. And there, it is not Vasudeva Uvacha. It is Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. So this Rupesh may be very much familiar about this. This is a topic that is studied by many who has explained Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is not Vasudeva Uvacha, it is Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. This itself means that Krishna was in an exalted state, in unison with the Bhagavad Bhava, the Sarveshwara Bhava. And from that source, the knowledge was coming. And after the Gita episode stops, these moods gets changed. Arjuna becomes not such a ardent disciple or such an ardent jitnyasu. He becomes like a Kshatriya, but he has improved himself a lot after hearing Bhagavad Gita. It doesn't mean that he got enlightened. He have recognized the greatness of Krishna after seeing the Vishwarupa, but that doesn't mean that it will be there always in Arjuna. It was not mentioned. It was not intended also. What Bhagavan wanted was Arjuna should not deviate from the path of Dharma. His Dharma was Kshatriya's Dharma, and he was not fit to renounce that Dharma and take the Dharma of sannyas. He has to follow the Kshatriya Dharma for that time, and after due course, after the evolution happens gradually, evolution should happen naturally, and after that evolution only he can enter into sannyasa. So at Bhagavad Gita instance, at the what do you say, that context or that situation demanded Arjuna's upliftment from deviating from Dharma, his Kshatriya Dharma, to bring him back to Kshatriya Dharma. And that is what in the end it is said, Nashto moha smritir labdha tatprasadan maya chuda sidosmi gata sandeha karishye vajanantava. This is the last sentence that Arjuna utters. I will follow your instructions. My moha, delusion has been gone, has gone, and I am now free from doubts about his Swadharma. It doesn't mean that he is free from the doubts about his nature, his Swarupa. It doesn't mean that he has got Atma Sakshatkara, nothing like that. Even the knowledge of the greatness of Krishna, the Bhagavatvam of Krishna was there at that time, and after that it slowly diminishes. That bhava slowly diminishes, and later Arjuna cannot retain that knowledge which he got through Bhagavad Gita forever. It gets diminishes as time passes. That is why he asked for again getting the knowledge from Bhagavad Gita from Krishna at a later period. So Bhagavad Gita is not giving Arjuna the full knowledge, the complete knowledge of or the realization of self or the realization of Krishna. It was not meant for that, but it served a purpose. This was one answer that I would like to share. And another answer given by some commentarians is that after hearing Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna got enlightened about his self, Krishna, etc. And then Arjuna's all actions are to be considered as Leela. He is a part of Krishna's realized devotees, and then everything that Arjuna does is just a Leela which is done by Krishna. He becomes a part in the Leela of Krishna. And he acts like that. But that is not a very logical or rational explanation. These are the explanations given by some commentarians who fully believe that by just hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna became enlightened about his nature, God's nature, etc. And he was liberated forever. He became Nitya Mukta. He transcended all limitations, all human bondages. That if you believe like that, you will have to say that all Arjuna did after the instruction, after hearing the Upadesha of Bhagavad Gita was all a drama, a Leela. But that is not a very logical conclusion. The logical conclusion is that Bhagavad Gita served its purpose of bringing Arjuna back to his Swadharma. And in the Dhyana Sloka also there is a verse. Sarvopaniषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपाल नंदनः पार्थो वल्सः सुधीर भोक्ता दुग्धम गीतामृतम्. Arjuna was the calf. The calf doesn't enjoy the mother cow's milk fully. It is just an instrument to extract the cow's milk. And one who enjoys the cow's milk is Sudhihi. The other people who buys that cow's milk, or the family members of that family to which this cow is, the cow is the possession of which family. The cow's calf will not get the whole milk of the cow. The milk is consumed by the people in the family or people who buy the milk. In the same way, Bhagavad Gita's knowledge is enjoyed or realized by Sudhihi, one who is a jnani, a wise person. Arjuna is like a calf who is used by Krishna so that the milk of knowledge of the Upanishads. Upanishads are cows. The knowledge of the cows, that is Upanishads, is the milk that is milked by Krishna, the Gopala Nandana, using Arjuna as a calf. And the Amritam, the nectar that is Dugdham of this cow's milk, is enjoyed by people who are really jitnyasus of the knowledge of the self. And Arjuna was not like that type of a person. He wanted his ultimate good, but he was not particular that he should get Atma Sakshatkara. Or he wanted to know the nature of Krishna. That was not his purpose. His purpose was Aham Dharma Sammudha Jayadaha. Yachrayasya Nishchidam Bruhidam. Let you tell me what is good for me. Yachrayasya Nishchidam Bruhidam. And in that Shreya word, the ultimate Shreya also is there. The ultimate good is also there, but Arjuna cannot be taken to that ultimate good immediately. He has to evolve slowly. So the evolution was hindered by Arjuna's thought that war was not my duty. If he abandoned war, then his evolution will become obstructed. So Krishna wanted him to fight the battle, and Krishna wanted him to evolve to the higher states and gradually to self-realization. So the purpose of Gita being told to Arjuna was not to enlighten him to self-knowledge or knowledge of Krishna. It was to bring him back to the path of Dharma, his Swadharma. And that purpose, it served, there is no doubt. But that doesn't mean that he got self-realized or he got enlightened about Krishna's nature. That we cannot infer. About this, there are differences of opinions, but this is the logical and rational conclusion that we can reach, I think. So this I am sharing with you. I was not prepared to answer this question, but this is this is what I have reflected in my mind when such doubts come in my mind. Why Arjuna lamented when his son Abhimanyu was killed, and all these confusions arise again in Arjuna. Why, after even hearing Bhagavad Gita, all this happens in Arjuna? This question may come in anyone's mind. The answer is what I have just mentioned. I hope my answer makes some sense. Om Namah Shivaya.